Welcome back to the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, brought to you as always by the Hockey Podcast Network. The Pittsburgh Penguins obviously just ended a 5-game winning streak with a loss to the Montreal Canadiens, and that loss came at the hands of their backup goaltender, Casey DeSmith. Now, DeSmith has gone winless in a lot of his last 10 games. I believe it's been like 8 or 9 games dating back to last season, but if you look specifically at this year, he has been pretty putrid. He's been bad. 0-3-1 record, a 4.32 goals allowed average, and an .867 save percentage. Now, that is not the normal for Casey DeSmith. And if you look at his career numbers, a 2.72 goals allowed average, that's really good. A .913 save percentage, that's really good, especially for a backup. But this season specifically, he's just not been able to get the job done. And it looks like almost every time he's in there, which has not been much. I mean, 4 games out of 21 is a very low portion. But when he's out there, he just doesn't look comfortable. And he gives up some goals that it's just like, yeah, right there, you needed a save. We talked about it in the first segment. And that goal with Jonathan Drouin on Saturday, it's like, listen, we controlled 5 minutes of play. I understand it's a breakaway, but dude, you got to make the save there.
Got to make one, yeah.
So that's been what we've seen from DeSmith. I mean, how serious is this situation? Do you think that DeSmith should be looking over his shoulder to see who's coming up behind him? Or do you think it's just a matter of, listen, the guy hasn't played very much hockey?
Well, coming up behind him is a very finely dressed Louis Domingue. Let's just tell it like it is. We don't need to make a trade or anything of that nature to fix this problem right away. Now, Louis Domingue might not be what he was in Tampa Bay. But at this point, I'm willing to give DeSmith one more chance because he's only played 4 games. That's completely fair. But the fact that he has yet to pick up a quality start, I don't know where Hockey Reference gets that quality start stat from, but I like it a lot. The fact that he's yet to pick up a quality start, that's not good because even Matt Murray picked up a couple of quality starts in his 0 for year before being sent to Belleville. So that's really saying something. DeSmith is not, I don't want to say he's not the answer for backup right now because we're paying him a ton of money and he's been here for a while. And I guess he's kind of a veteran who's seen it all, right? I mean, bouncing between the ECHL and the AHL and then making it to the league and then being sent back to the NHL for a year because we had Murray and Jari going. He's been here for us, but at the same time, the backup goaltending position it's one you filter in and out pretty quickly.
Yeah. And
I think he's just run stale here. It happens. I think I'm not going to say it's quite yet time to move on. Like I said, I'm willing to give him one more chance. But when it comes to him looking over his shoulder, yeah, we have an answer in-house. Louis Domingue is most likely still an NHL-capable backup. Again, if he's playing 4 games through 20, I'd put Domingue in there, give him his shot. It's something new. It's something different. And if backup goalies in this town have taught us anything, the weirdest oddball names can come out of nowhere and really be something for you. I think we saw Thomas Vokoun take us multiple rounds into the playoffs. We saw Brent Johnson stay here for a long time and then end Rick DiPietro's career. Backup goalies in this town are interesting. Now, we're very used to having starters as our backup as well. If the past few years have taught us anything. But I think we give DeSmith this one more chance and then pull up someone. I don't know if a move needs to be made, but maybe because that's a big contract, you don't know what to do with it exactly. Maybe you just have to ship DeSmith out for some picks, which we could use.
Yeah, when it comes to Casey DeSmith, I don't know if it's a thing like, oh, he needs to play more to be more effective in net. But here's the thing: when you have a guy in Tristan Jarry that's playing the way he is, I'm not going to pull Tristan Jarry off of a hot streak just to say, hey, we need to keep Casey DeSmith a little bit warm here because he's our backup. That's not how you operate if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, and luckily they haven't. So if Casey DeSmith is unable to come in and basically spot start once every 3 weeks, if he can't do that effectively, then yeah, send him down. Let him get his reps in Wilkes-Barre. I know that we did that a couple of years ago and he didn't take it all that well, but listen, you're the backup goaltender. It's part of the job that you're going to be cold most of the time coming into a game. And just, you have to be ready when you have that opportunity. We saw Louis Domingue, as you mentioned, and that's where I would go to if I'm looking to honestly make that replacement. But right now, I think Casey DeSmith deserves another chance because he's been a dutiful backup for this team for several years now. But if he continues to play the way that he has, Louis Domingue We saw him be able to do that spot start thing with a dominant starting goaltender in Tampa. Andre Vasilevsky plays 60 games a year. So Louis Domingue barely played at all and was able to have success down there in Tampa Bay. So he's had that experience. He's playing pretty well in the AHL right now for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. He's 3-3-2 on the year, 2.54 goals allowed average, and a .922 save percentage. If you translate those numbers, which I understand the NHL is more difficult, but if you translate those numbers to the NHL, that's a couple of wins in a backup situation. That's all you can ask for right now. And the way the Penguins were playing on Saturday, they should have won the game. Yeah. All you needed was a competent goaltending performance, and you didn't get that by Casey DeSmith.
And maybe not getting goalied by Jake Allen of all people. But again, that happens. We got goalied in New York, and we won. So you can get goalied and still win games.
If you're a goaltender, if you're a backup goaltender, all I need you to do is keep it at 3 goals or lower. That's what I look for when I see a backup goaltender in net. Unless it's a 1A, 1B situation, like when it was Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry, the expectations are higher. Yeah. But with Casey DeSmith, 3 goals or less. And if we don't score more than 3 goals, that's on the offense. 3 goals or less. Now, he gave up 3 goals in that game, but the way that he gave up 3 goals was putrid. The amount that we outplayed the Montreal Canadiens and you lost that game, and the way that the goals that he gave up, it was not good enough. And it's just a matter of, you're at 4.32 goals allowed average. What did I say? 3 goals or less. You don't get to that unless you have a couple of really bad games. He's only played in 4. But, I don't want to get too hard on him. But at the same time, listen, the Penguins, Tristan Jarry, you don't want to run the table with Tristan Jarry playing as much hockey as he has. He's leading the league right now in time on ice for goaltenders.
Oh, man.
You don't want to run him dry, because you know what's going to happen if this persists. Tristan Jarry is going to have a lights out regular season, and he's going to gas out by the playoffs, and everybody in Pittsburgh is going to say, "Well, Tristan Jarry can't perform in the playoffs." It's like, well, he started 68 games. It's basically on pace for. He started 60 games, and he played really well. Maybe he just gassed out before the playoffs, and that comes back to that's a backup goalie issue.
Yeah, how many times has Toronto showed us that happens?
With Freddie Anderson basically his entire time there.
Yeah, only the elitist of the elite. I don't know if I use elitist. Only the elite of the elite goaltending can do that for you. Can go through 60-plus games a season and then survive the playoffs. The robot that is Vasilevsky can do that. Sometimes we saw him fall apart in the playoff before. He's not perfect either. So you need a good backup goalie to step in and make sure your starter is rested and ready to go for the most important games of the season.
Yeah.
It's not, again, like I said, the backup goalie does not have to be perfect.
No.
But when you're paying him $1.25 million, hold on here. You got to make some stops.
Your goals allowed average needs to be below 4 if that's what you're getting paid.
Save percentage above 9, all of that. Like I mentioned the Koskinen numbers earlier. You give me Koskinen numbers, again, he's a starter over there for some reason. Every year in Edmonton, I'm sure we say that.
Yeah.
But he's at least getting wins, and there's a great offense in front of him. But you give me a 908, which is what I think Koskinen was hitting at last time I saw him. Give me a 908. That's fine. Give me Matt Murray's 899 even from the year he was bad here. Mm-hmm. I'll take an 899 for a backup. You're a backup. You're not supposed to be, winning Vezinas. It's just a matter of making the right saves when we need to. When you're spotting in, get your quality start, man.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like I said, Smith's been here for a while. He's been a workhorse for us, but I don't know. It's when there's a certain goalie in net as a fan sometimes, at least for me, I have a certain confidence in the goalie. Like when you see a breakaway happening, do you tense up or do you lay back and go, our goalie has this because he's so-and-so? With DeSmith, I tense up every damn time. I always have because he's the backup. Now, I tense up a lot whenever Fleury was in net, when Murray was in net. Jarry, I've stopped tensing for.
I tense up in the shootout, but that's it.
Yeah, but I don't think I've even tensed because I'm just used to it. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's an L. We'll take it. But yeah, it's the matter of what kind of tension do you feel? Mm-hmm. That's another factor that I always take in with goalies, because you can't just look at numbers with goalies. I mean, we do, but how many times we mentioned it's voodoo?
Yeah, it's voodoo, and also it's timeliness.
Yeah.
And
So it's a
DeSmith
matter of,
definitely doesn't have the timeliness or the stats, and the voodoo clearly not in his favor right now.
yeah. So it's just a matter of what have you done for me lately? And guess what? It is not much in Casey DeSmith situation. Also, you have a new mask. Use it. I want to see it. I want to see it on the ice, man.
The only other goaltender in the Penguins organization that would even get a sniff at that position right now is Philip Lindbergh, the 22-year-old rookie out of UMass, and I think he's still really too early for a call-up for him.
Let's not yet.
4-2 on the season, 2.76 goals allowed, averaging a .915 save percentage. Good start for Philip Lindbergh, but again, too early to be calling him up. Let him marinate a little bit more in the AHL.
We'll come around to him next year.
Yeah,